Oh my word, Junior, that was so inspiring.
They're great. They're absolutely
Those
brilliant.
guys, I mean, so much amazing advice. They seem so wise and they're still so young.
I know. And the thing is, again, you know, just to re-clarify, that 2020 really puts things into perspective. And if you have somebody traveling from Oxford to Bristol every day because they believe in something and they're so young, 17 Ruben is, then actually that goes to show you and us, because we're always evolving, we're always learning, that the power of desire and the power of passion can really overcome many things in life.
It's so true. And, you know, going back to everything they said about just doing something you're passionate about, I honestly don't feel like I work a day in my life when I'm doing the thing I love. And, you know, that's what I've always been doing, is like always following that. And it could be hard sometimes, as we've discussed, you know, you've got to be resilient, things go wrong all the time. But, you know, it's just about, holding on, following it. It's just so inspiring to hear from so many youngsters who've got such a thirst for life.
It's nice to have you back, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I know, I feel like you've been by my side for hours and then you disappeared. It was like, what?
It was my disappearing act. But basically now what we want to do is just very quickly go back to questions, because they've been flooding in. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to ask them. Our moderators have been busy in the background trying to get answers to you, but I just want to read out one here. So this is specifically for the Bristol City Robins and Bristol Rovers. So somebody wanted to ask, do your courses cover anything else other than playing and coaching sports? So, you know, journalism, marketing, management. So, you know, you might go do a BTEC and think, is that actually going to segue into anything else? Can I go on and do anything else? Well, funny enough, you can. So we've got a response here. So yes, all of the courses cover all aspects of the sports industry, including coaching, sports as a business, sports events, physiology. They also offer a number of work experience opportunities based on whatever the student is interested in. So it seems like even if you haven't made a decision yet about your career, going off and doing one of those courses is still a great way to get a load of core skills together. So I can't actually believe it, Junior, but we are nearing the end of the day. We are on the second to last.
It literally feels like we walked in about an hour ago, but then it's the time in between, which has been like, oh, what's happening? But it's been such a useful day.
It really has.
And I just want to re-clarify to anybody that's watching as well, as a team, Like to Be is something of a platform that wants to be around, continuously.
Yeah.
So we want people to engage with us via our social media, via our LinkedIn, via our website. It's crucial in these times that we can deliver Like to Be in many years to come, to provide you with the right information so that you see that your aspirations are not contained by certain rules, but they're contained by the way you think. So I just wanted to put that in there very nicely.
I love it, inspiring words. So we're going to be moving on to a new theme, and this is all about further education, higher education and apprenticeships. And I got the chance to speak to some wonderful ladies at UE, my old university. And so if you're thinking about going to uni, this is definitely the one to watch. Hello everybody, welcome to this interview session. I'm joined by two wonderful guests this morning, Nikki and Kate from UE Careers. So that's the University of the West of England, which is actually my old university. So this is a trip down memory lane for me. And we're going to be talking all things university. So if you're thinking of going to uni, this is the session for you. So we're going to jump straight in with the first question. So Nikki, question for you. You know, what are the main reasons that students should go to university?
Okay, thank you. So there's a number of reasons, and they're very personal to each individual. So some students go to university because they want to study a course that will lead to a particular career, such as physiotherapy or engineering. Some people want to find out more about a subject that they love and maximise their academic potential, as well as keep their options open for what they want to do in the future. Graduates are more likely to be employed and earn more over their lifetime, so that can also be a deciding factor. For some, it's the experience and the independence and the skills they'll pick up, but it's really important that you think about what your reasons might be and explore the different courses and universities, keeping an open mind for things that you might not have thought of that pop up, like the opportunity to travel or do work or research placement.
Yeah, no, I can completely so yeah, I agree with that. I went to university, I went to UE, and because of it, I've actually managed to pursue, my chosen career, and, without a doubt, having a degree has helped me do that. So no, I completely agree that it's a fantastic reason to go if you, want to go on to certain professions. So next question for you, Nikki. So How many subjects can you take at university?
Okay, so most people take a single subject, which could be a broad subject like biological sciences, or quite specific like neuroscience, or they might take a joint a joint honours where two subjects are studied separately but in equal amounts.
Okay.
There are also major minor course options where you can combine your main subject with fewer modules from another subject, and combined courses such as liberal arts and sciences where you can study up to 5 different subjects.
Wow.
Some courses offer the option to select a limited number of modules from another subject area, but the main thing is the university websites will clearly describe the course type and content on their website, so make sure again you do your research.
Yeah, okay, so that's brilliant. Lots of options then, which is great. And I guess an important thing for students to know before they go and choose a degree maybe is knowing what A-levels they should take. So where can they find out information about the A-levels they need to get onto a set course?
Absolutely. So those pages on the websites at the universities will say if there's particular A-levels that they need. Much of that information is put onto the UCAS course search website as well, so it's a quicker way of reviewing the kinds of things that universities are looking for. There isn't really one answer that fits all the subjects. Most subjects will accept any course at A-level, the exceptions being the more technical and science-based courses where you need to build on some of the knowledge and skills that you've gained at A-level first. But generally, subjects that you won't have studied before at GCSE can be taken at university without a specific A-level. But it's check those entry requirements for vocational courses like medicine, engineering, quite specific about what they want. I mean, the other thing is it's not the be-all and end-all choosing the right A-levels. If you change your mind and want to change direction, many subjects offer a foundation course. So it's just an extra year on your degree to get you up to speed if you have changed your mind.
I think that's a really important thing to know right now, given the uncertainty that COVID has kind of, brought to the job market, that, if you do decide on one direction and then change your mind, that you have options to go and do something else. So that's brilliant. Thank you. So we're going to jump over to you now, Kate.
Okay.
So how many hours do most university students have each week on their courses?
So most of them, sorry, Charlie, can you stop there?
Yeah.
You just jumped to a question that I wasn't expecting.
Oh, okay.
I was going to answer how many universities can you apply to? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll ask you that one.
So, and then it's can you apply for more than one subject?
Yep, I've got that.
Is that right? Sorry.
Yeah. No.
It'll throw us.
Don't worry. Okay, so Kate, I'm going to jump over to you now with a question. So how many universities can students apply to?
Okay, that's a good question. So you can apply for up to 5 courses. It is possible to apply for just one, but we wouldn't really recommend it unless you're absolutely sure. But the reason why you can apply to 5 is that then you can have a selection of courses. So it's really important to know what those predicted grades are that you've got. You've got to have a conversation with your teachers so that you can apply to some that might need a slightly higher grade, and then some that perhaps you've got a bit of an insurance offer as well. So that's what happens when you hopefully get all these offers. Yeah. You can then decide one that you absolutely want to choose, and one is that insurance offer. So if you've got a range, then it's so much easier to then decide later which one you want to accept.
No, I think that's great. And like you say, broaden your horizons, keep lots of options open. If you've applied to 5, then you've got 5 options at the end of the day.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Brilliant. And next question, which I think is something that I think is a really important question to answer, is, so can you apply to more than one subject at the same university? So if you're somebody that's, like you're not sure what you want to do, you have 2 interests, can you apply to more than one subject?
Yeah, we see this quite a lot of the times when people haven't quite made their mind up, but we wouldn't really recommend it. And that's why the research that Nikki was talking about just a few moments ago is so important. Because if you then choose a subject, you've got to be really confident that that's what you want to do, because when you write your personal statement, it has to explain why you want to choose that course. So if you're hedging your bets and you're choosing maths and you're choosing physics, for example, it's really difficult to write that personal statement. It's almost impossible. So that's why it's really important to do that research, so that you can be very persuasive that you're choosing a course that is absolutely right for you. There are a couple of exceptions in that sometimes people might want to take a joint subject, so maybe English and German, and some universities don't offer that joint subject, so to incorporate those languages into that personal statement would be fine, and that would be perfectly okay. But yeah, we would recommend just one subject.
You really want to see that the student is really enthusiastic about that subject. So yeah, I can completely appreciate why applying to multiple maybe gives mixed messages. Okay, Nikki, I'm going to jump back over to you and ask you, how do students find out what is the best university for the course that they want to study?
Okay, so it's really hard, because what one person considers as the best university would be different for a different person, obviously. To help you think about what's important to you, you might want to look at the list of courses and universities on the rankings. There are guides such as the Guardian and the Times, but the rankings have scores that are based on the number of different features, such as student satisfaction, teaching research quality, entry grades, and you might consider them more or less important for you. Although employability, that's the number of graduates getting jobs, is a factor, employer surveys show that university reputation and to a large extent subject choice matter far less than the other factors, such as the aptitude, skills and work experience that you could gain on those courses, really.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I actually found going to university whilst having that degree was a big tick for a lot of prospective employers. They also wanted to see that I had work experience in that field. So yeah, I can't stress enough how important it is as well to have that alongside your degree. So
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
carry on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's about you, if you're choosing, deciding what do you want in that degree? Do you want it to have a placement? Are you an exams person or a coursework person? Doing that research to match it with your ability, so you're going to be the most successful and have the best time for you on a particular course. I think that's the most important thing, not assume that one size fits all. I
completely agree with you, completely agree. So how would a student be able to tell if they like a university? Because of course unis offers a lot of open days. I went to quite a few, but it can be quite hard to make a decision just on the day that, yeah, this is the uni for me. What advice would you give? Okay, I mean, you can't get the smell of the place at the moment, because most of the open days are being run online, but you can get almost everything else. So actually, from the comfort of your own home, you can attend all these virtual open days that universities are having, where you can get a tour of the campus, even though it's online, but you'll be able to speak to the academics, attend talks about those particular subjects, and also current students, and view what they have to say and see whether or not it sounds like the kind of thing that you're looking for. So they've got the pre-records that are there for you to take advantage of at your leisure, but they've also got live chat, live Q&As, so you can ask those particular questions that you might have. And even if you're not available on the day of the open day, UCAS has got a database of all the virtual tours that universities offer as well, so you might want to have a look around. As I say, it'll always be sunny and you won't be able to smell the place, but you get a bit of an insight into it. But later on this year,
I imagine that the universities will be offering chances to go in person when it's safe to do so. So you can pick up those extra things as well. And the more you see, perhaps the more questions you'll get, and then you can email, or if you can't make the live chat, you can email admissions at those universities if you've got specific questions. And there's also a feature called UniBuddy that quite a lot of universities are using, where you can chat directly to students and ask them about their experiences.
That, I think, is a great thing, to be able to speak to other students about their experiences. I think probably one of the best ways to really get a feel, especially right now when students aren't able to necessarily go to university and get the smell of the place as you described. So last question to you would be, how do students find out about what, if they do a particular degree, what can they go on to do afterwards?
It's a great question to ask at open days, and find out before applying for the course. Most of the course descriptions will have a section on progression after the course and the potential careers that it links to. And there are suggestions on this good website called the Uni Guide, and the Complete University Guide, those websites, if you pop in those in the search box. And there's also one called prospects.az.uk, which is a careers website for graduates, with a section in it called "What can I do with a degree in?" And then you select the subject. So if you don't know where you'd get if you did a degree in, say, criminology, it would link you up with different things. Career Pilot's another website you can use, which has got a subject section in there as a good starting point of, I like this subject, but I don't know what I can do with it. As a starting place.
Having an idea of what you could go on to do afterwards, I think, is a really important part of choosing a degree, because a degree is a massive commitment. It's 3 years in most cases of your life, and so knowing what you might be able to go on and do afterwards, I think, is great. And at one point as well, I want to make, Nikki, from what you've said, is for any students out there, no question is a silly question. I think when I was at open days, I was always a little bit nervous about asking a silly question. I was really quiet actually at my open days, didn't ask much. And so just if there's anything that you want to ask, just reach out, because I think it's important that you speak up, and if you've got anything you want to ask, that you ask it. Okay.
I also think, I was just going to say, Charlie, that you don't have to know what you want to do before you go to university. It's okay to not know. Most universities will have careers service. You can have one-to-ones with careers advisors to help you sort of move your way forwards. But I think a lot of people don't realise what's out there, or find the job that they want to do until they've moved forwards, perhaps into university. So it's about keeping progressing, finding new opportunities, and then suddenly, wow, there's the career that I want. You don't have to know it before you make that choice.
A really good point as well. I do agree with you. At university, you change quite a lot. You meet people, and your horizons get substantially broadened, and so things can change. And so I think it's a really good point to make. Kate, I'm going to jump back over to you for a couple of questions. So, there's a lot of uncertainty now. Students might want to apply, but if things change, is there a potential for them to defer? What are the rules about deferring courses?
Yeah, that's something that we heard quite a lot about in the summer, wasn't it? Lots of students deferring, but actually the reality was, for this current academic year, people didn't actually defer, and that they did come to university. Most universities will consider deferrals, but it's always on a case-by-case basis. So I think we can't generalise at all and just assume that it will be absolutely fine. So it's really important to think that might be an option, but it's definitely something to consider and have a conversation with the university about. So, for example, a couple of things to note there. So health courses sometimes don't accept deferrals. So that can be tricky, because the numbers are fairly set in terms of how many people they want in their classes, because of the equipment that they need or the placements that they need to go on. So that could be it could be a no from them. And a course like mathematics or some other technical subjects, some academics might say no to those, because if you studied an A-level course, for example, and you've got a high level of knowledge, if you have a break and then go back into it, are you going to remember everything? Which is a fair question to ask. So that's why some universities will say, yep, that's not a problem, and others might say, well, we really need to have a conversation before we accept. So it's quite important to realise that it's quite hard to generalise on that one.
Can I just ask a question related to that? So if you apply and you don't actually have any intention to defer, but things change, for example, and then you want to explore that defer option, but then the course is like, no, sorry, we can't let you defer. Does it go against you if you have applied and been given a position and then you decline it?
So what would happen at that point is that you would probably come out of the university application process, and then you just reapply next year, and you can reapply without anyone knowing what happened the previous year. So it's quite straightforward, really. But that's why doing the research, I know we've said that so many times in our conversation, but doing the research and doing about the course and about the university is really important. So all of these things are ironed out before you have to make that final choice. But obviously, as we've seen this year, there have been situations where no one could have predicted what has gone on, and universities are just really happy to have that conversation with students. So as you were saying before, no question is a really stupid question, so it's always worth to contact them and find out.
No, that's really reassuring, I think, given, as you say, that there's just so much uncertainty right now. We can't tell what's going to happen.
No.
So that leads on nicely to the next question, which is, given that there's so much uncertainty, there's been quite a lot of disruption. So how is UE, for example, coping with that, with all of these changes that are happening?
Okay, so the current students that we have a mixture of online lessons and some face-to-face lessons and lectures. Most of the lectures are online, and then there is some face-to-face tutorials. So it's that blended approach that people are talking about. That's what the student experience is. But within that, I think there's a lot of contact with the academic staff. Mm-hmm. So again, you might hear that there are stories around that students don't have any contact with academics in this new climate, and they're left to do things by themselves. That is certainly not the experience at all of our students. They have that contact with those academics and group discussions. So actually it's still quite interactive, which is really good. So they're having those conversations about their topics, in their modules. It is more difficult at the moment to perhaps meet up with friends, obviously, and so the university experience is a bit different. But there are some students on campus, and then there are those online lessons. So I think the message that it would be really important to get across is those online lessons don't necessarily need to be really dull. They are interactive, and the academics have worked really hard to make sure that it's a really interesting, engaging experience. It's not just one way at all, and so that's really important. So every university has done it slightly differently. We had quite a big chunk of time at the beginning of the academic year to make sure everyone was settled in and had that time to just get used to this new way of working. So again, I just encourage people to find out what the universities are going to be doing from next year, because again, it might change next year, and they might keep some of the things that we've done this year actually into the next academic year, and I don't think that necessarily will be a bad thing. Again, we've heard that perhaps there are some bad things going on about the student experience, but it's just a bit different, and I think that's something just to bear in mind, really.
I think it's really reassuring to hear that you're doing all that you can to make sure that the uni experience isn't being impacted, in the wake of all of this COVID, issue. It's so hard, to just have to try and come up with a new way to ensure that this teaching continues on. But I think it will be very reassuring to hear that you are dedicated to making sure that students are still getting the same level of teaching. So,
yeah.
I think a really great question to just finish on would be, you know, getting into uni can be quite a difficult thing, especially onto, you know, some courses. You've got to wow the course leader. So what makes an impressive personal statement, and what should students include in that?
Okay, so I think what admissions tutors want to read is that you are enthusiastic about the course, that you have a realistic understanding of what it entails, and that you're committed to the course. And that's all they really want to know, that you're going to suit the kind of learning, but mainly that you're keen, enthusiastic, and have a realistic knowledge of what it's going to be. So it's like any sort of application, really. It's describing why you're suitable, what your skills and interests are that are relevant to that course. If it links to career ideas as well, then that's great. And certainly if it's for a vocational course, then you're going to need to show that you're suitable for that vocation. It's obviously not going to have any silly mistakes in it, spelling and grammar wise, and it's not going to have any sort of cliches or anything like that in it. But it's going to be different for every single individual, because it's personal to the person that's writing it, and it's not something that's easy to do in one go. So we always recommend that you get drafting early, show it to a few people, get advice, and keep redrafting till you're happy with it. I think that's my main advice.
It does take a while to craft. One of the things to write about yourself. And you know, I personally found when I was writing my personal statement, I just didn't really know what to put in there. I was like, what's really going to be of interest? But things that I included was any volunteering that I had done that had, you know, related necessarily to the course I wanted to do, and then just put my personality in there, and you know, the things that were important to me. So, you know, showing people that you're an individual with that interest, but also that you've, you know, maybe tried to learn about the subject that you're going into, you know, just shows that little bit more of like why you really want to do it.
Absolutely.
Nikki, Kate, it's been wonderful to speak to you. I think this session will be invaluable for anybody who's looking to go to university. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer the questions today. And yeah, have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye.
Really good. It's really good. I can see loads of interaction on our LTB.org website. Welcome back if you just tuned in. It's Julia Saunders alongside the lovely Charlie Young at LTB 2020. Lots of interactions going on currently online. Remember to explore the different zones that surround the different opportunities that's on the website. I cannot stress that enough. We are in real time, 29 minutes past 4 on this lovely Wednesday evening, and you've decided to join us. So we're incredibly grateful for that. Gonna go to another text that we've got, or another message from our students, and it comes from a Bradley Stoke student who would like to know, is there any university offers around dentistry? Now, obviously, we've got universities coming back to us all the time. Plymouth University's come back to us, because they're very nice. And they've said, we offer 2 dentistry courses at the University of Plymouth, a BDS, dental surgery, and a BSc, loads of acronyms, in dental therapy and hygiene. Check them out, plymouth.ac.uk/courses/undergraduate, and it will all be there.
Brilliant. So also now we're going to have another chat with another university, one that you might have not heard before. So Arden University, I had a chance to speak to Amy. So this again is going to be a brilliant chat all about the reasons that you should go to uni, and also some of the courses that you can do with this great university.
Hi, welcome back everybody to our next interview session of the day. So I'm joined by another wonderful guest, Amy from Arden University, who is the Outreach and Recruitment Officer. And we're going to be talking all about what Arden is and answering some questions that you might have about this organisation. So hi Amy, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. The sun's out, so I'm happy at least.
Good. Yeah, it is here actually as well for once.
Yeah, for once. So I just want to jump straight in because I think people are probably wondering what Arden is. I've not heard of Arden before. So if you could tell me a little bit about Arden, I think that would be a great way to start.
Of course. So yeah, I do get that quite a lot actually. What's Arden University when we're at kind of these university fairs? So yeah, happy to tell you a bit about us today. So we are quite a new name within like the university sector. And we're quite a new and modern university, digital focused. So we have been around for about 30 years, but helping facilitate online learning for other universities, not our own thing. But for about the past 5 years, we now award our own degrees. The main thing to know about us is we offer 2 types of degree. The first is a fully online degree.
Okay.
Kind of similar to the Open University, which you've probably heard of.
Yeah.
And the second type of degree that we offer is a blended learning degree, which some may have heard of, some may not have heard of. You may have heard of it a bit more this year as some of the more traditional universities have taken it on to deal with teaching in the pandemic, but it's what we specialise in, online and blended learning.
Okay. And so this blended learning, I imagine, is a mix of sort of like digital and also face-to-face?
Yeah, that's correct. It clues in the name, blend of, face-to-face and online. So if you're a blended learning student at Arden, you come to one of our study centres. So we have ones in London, Birmingham and Manchester, twice a week for lectures only. So you'll have like a morning or an afternoon, or a couple of mornings, a couple of afternoons each week. And that'll be 8 hours total lecture time, but the rest of your study, you do a big chunk of online learning each week also. So you're still studying full time, you still graduate after 3 years, but there's just less time that you have to be going in and out of university. It's more flexible, you can fit in other things and fit in your study around those things.
I think that's great, really, because, you know, the reality of going to university is that quite often sometimes people need to work alongside it. So I imagine that this gives flexibility for maybe people who have a job, or for students that, you know, are going to have to go to university and maybe do other things around it at the same time.
Exactly. There's lots of different kind of needs of, you know, people and students and young people nowadays, and that can be, you know, they may have caring responsibilities of a member of their family. They may, I've met young people who compete at high level sport, but they also kind of want a backup option, or, you know, something for the future. I've met people who do a lot of volunteering, don't want to give that up. But I think the key one, like you say, is the working aspect. So it's kind of, you know, you're thinking about your future, you're thinking, well, do I want to go to university, I want to go train or get an apprenticeship and go into a job? Well, you don't always have to choose between the two. And this is a way of kind of doing both. You know, you're getting the qualifications and all the benefits of having a degree, such as the graduate schemes and certain jobs, but you're developing your experience already. And, you know, we've got loads of entrepreneurs nowadays, you know, people who are working on social media, influencers, or developing their little businesses on the side. And, you know, going to uni every single day, as you would for a traditional university, it might be quite hard to fit it all in. So just allowing that bit more flexibility just might be really important for some people.
That's really, really interesting. I think is so cool because, yeah, I, you know, went to uni. I tried to work alongside a full-time degree, and it was really hard. I struggled, and, you know, half the time the job that I was working in also clashed with a lot of the modules or the actual like in face-to-face sessions that I had. So I found it quite hard to balance it all. So yeah, it's great. It seems like you guys have got like a very modern way of doing this, which I think is just awesome, and a great choice for people if they do have, like you say, a lot going on outside or want to do things alongside their degree. So just speaking about the degrees, they have exactly the same weighting as a degree that you would get from any of these big sort of, you know, well-known universities. There's no difference.
There's no difference. So, you know, when people haven't heard of something, there's a bit of kind of uncertainty, or, you know, being a bit unsure, well, you know, is it as good? Absolutely. So we are registered to the Office for Students, and we're assessed by the QAA, which are both the kind of regulatory bodies within higher education. So, you know, we've got to prove that we are offering high standard academically and employability focused degrees. So yes, exact same weighting. And all our academics, you know, are real specialists in their field. We're really focused on kind of developing your skills, so when you graduate, you're going to be ready for the workplace and have those kind of skills developed for you as well. So yeah, although you may not have heard of us, and you probably won't see us on the league tables either, that, you know, you don't take them as absolute kind of gospel. Do your research and just find out which university you like and is going to be best for you and what you want to go on and do.
Yeah, I think it's obviously the league tables are there to give, you know, students some sort of, I guess, idea of certain things, but yeah, don't take it as gospel. I can completely, yeah, I agree with that. So my next question, you mentioned academics. So, you know, at other universities, you have academics and lecturers that sort of teach these courses. Who are your academics? Are they, you know, academics that have joined Arden University, or are they outsourced academics that are working in different fields? Who are they?
So we have a really strong team of academics, fully based, working full-time at the university. And, you know, we have many different kind of sources of support. So whether you need, you know, help with your dissertation, you know, you'll get your dissertation supervisor. If you need help with referencing, there's people to go to. And, you know, the full-time academics will all have their kind of backgrounds in research and academia that they've developed over the years. So we've got real specialists there, and ones who has also worked in industry for many years. But we do also have lots of guest speakers and external speakers, or academics that come and work on a part-time basis with lots of other universities, similar to kind of what you find in the sector. So you get to, as a student, you'll get to meet lots of different kind of people, learn lots of different things from people who have done things in all different parts of the world, all different industries, and have all different experiences and things that they've learned to share with you to help you succeed.
Oh, that sounds great. And so my next question then, so what are the fees like? Are the fees the same as going to other universities, or do you have different prices for your courses?
So our fees are actually slightly lower than the standard kind of 9 and a bit grand. So it does depend on what course you study and what learning mode you study. So if you study blended learning, then depending on your course, it'll either be £7,750 or £8,250 per year. So as I say, slightly lower. But if you study the on one of our online learning courses, it could be around 13 grand for the entire course, and it kind of goes by level, because with the online courses, as opposed to studying full-time and graduating after 3 years with the blended learning courses, you choose at what pace you study. So if you need to take a little bit longer than 3 years, if you've got other things going on and you want to kind of slow down how quickly you're, you know, going through your modules, then you can. And that kind of is reflected obviously in the fees, and with it being fully online as well. And just a quick note on that, you may be ready to ask this, but I just thought I'd mention it. You can, of course, apply to student finance.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I anticipated it. Spoilers. Yeah, no, you can apply to student finance for tuition fee loans for both the blended learning and online learning courses. So that's, if you're eligible for that, then you can get that. You can't actually access maintenance loans if you study the online learning degrees, just because it counts as part-time. That's the same with the Open Uni and other kind of degrees like that. But for blended learning, you can apply for maintenance loans. So, and of course, all the other kind of student finance grants and, you know, disabled students allowance, we've got a team that can kind of help you apply for that and get things related to that as well. So, yeah.
And if you want to apply to Arden, do you go through the usual UCAS system, or do you apply differently?
you don't go through UCAS actually. And I definitely think this is a positive, because you know, if you're still having a think about which ones and unis that you want to go to, you know, you don't actually have to use us as a choice, so you know, you're saving something there. But no, you apply to us directly, so just via our website there's a button that basically just says apply now, and you fill that out, and then one of our personal advisors, recruitment advisors, will be in touch with you, and you kind of have that person who guides you through the application journey, can help you with student finance, tells you exactly what you need to know and what you need to do and by when. So you're really guided and supported through that application process. So it's really, really simple.
Yeah, I found the whole UCAS process really quite stressful when I was going through it. And so that's wonderful that you actually almost have like a one-to-one service where people, you know, have somebody that looks after them through the whole process. And very sneaky that you can get that extra choice. So your usual, you know, you have a limit of 5 universities through UCAS, whereas you can get an extra one with Arden.
Yes.
So that's
exactly.
all super duper information. And so you mentioned at the beginning that you've kind of had a head start, I suppose, to other universities, because other universities have always ran it face to face. So, you know, have you experienced much of an impact from COVID? Because you've said that you've already had blended learning established, but has there been any impact at all to Arden University?
I'd say we've been impacted much less than other universities, and we've been really well equipped to deal with the changes of circumstances of everyone in the world this year. So our online learning students have been virtually unaffected, because you know, they just access their learning through the internet. So if they've got a device and internet connection, they can work through their modules and submit their assessments as normal. They do still get live lectures streamed as well, so that's happened there. So yeah, in terms of their university experience, very little has changed there. For our blended learners, their learning did shift from face-to-face to online earlier in the year, but they still had their timetabled lectures streamed online. And what we've actually done kind of this academic year is we've run a scheme called Your Degree, Your Way. So up until the second lockdown, the students had been given the choice, in blended learning students had been given the choice as to whether to come back into study centres for their lectures or continue to just watch them from home and not have to come in. So we just wanted to give the students that flexibility again, and just make their own decision depending on where they were and what they had on in their life, because you know, lots of people's situations have changed. But I have been into the study centres, and like you know, we've popped in all the social distancing requirements, masks, you know, in the corridors, and hand sanitizer, and all, you know, everything that you would expect. And it feels really safe, because we're quite a small uni, you know, we haven't had lots of students in, so it's felt really safe. But it's still obviously been nice to kind of see people and see the students in more teams again. So
yeah, it is nice to, although we're all having to pull together here and try and, you know, make sure that we're looking after each other by staying away from one another, it's still nice that you're having those opportunities when it's safe to come back together and sort of, you know, mix, because that's what university is about. You know, it's one of the best times when you make friends, like you make friends for life. At least I did when I went to university, and so it's nice that you've still got that opportunity to mix. I've actually got a question here from Bradley Stoke Academy. So what courses does Arden offer? You know, is it the same as other universities, or have you got specific ones that you do offer?
So I'll give you kind of a lowdown of our main courses, which are all quite kind of vocational and career focused. So we've got business, law, computing, graphic design, accounting and finance, criminology, psychology, and kind of other social sciences related to that, sociology, criminal justice, social sciences courses, things like that as well. Just trying to think if there's any that I missed off. I don't know if I mentioned, I think I did mention computing actually.
You got things like dentistry or nurse? I know some of the students asked about those.
No, we don't, unfortunately. We do have a healthcare management degree, which is kind of focused on equipping helping people who kind of already work in healthcare to develop their management skills so they can kind of progress up. So we do have that, and we do also actually offer degree apprenticeships as well, both in kind of business.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Both in business and digital and technology solutions. So, you know, if you can find an employer that you want to work with, and then, you know, do a degree on the side, that then we also offer that. But yeah, very particularly business and management focused. Then we've kind of got our more IT related subjects, and then social sciences and law as well is a big one that is quite popular. I think our most popular course is our psychology course, because it's accredited by the British Psychological Society.
Real mouthful.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that's a really popular one because it's a fully online psychology BPS accredited degree, so that's quite popular. Yeah.
You seem to be offering a lot of, I would argue, some of the most popular courses that people do when they go to university anyway, so that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I guess something to finish on, you know, obviously at the moment the world is a very, it's just things are tough right now. And so have you got any advice that you would give to students watching today, you know, who are wanting to pursue like their dream careers but are maybe, you know, worried about the pandemic? Is there just any advice that you would give to them right now to sort of keep their spirits up?
Yeah, it is tough, and you know, young people at the moment must be feeling a bit like, oh, why me at this particular point? But you will continue to see opportunities become available, and the world will evolve with this, perhaps at a faster pace than it would have happened originally. But just as ever, take the time to really think about your decisions and research, you know, look up TED Talks and you know, look at articles in your kind of subject of interest. If you don't feel ready to go to university yet, then you know that of course there's no rush. If you need longer to think about it, but at the same time, if you do go to uni and you know you decide maybe you're not as keen on that subject, having a degree in itself is gonna help you in many ways. You know, I studied environmental science at uni. Well, I'm not doing anything to do with that now, but I loved it at the time, and there are various skills that I developed that, you know, actually have been quite useful. So whatever path you end up taking, even if it doesn't end up being what you originally thought it was going to be, whether that's due to you not liking a subject as much as you thought, or you know, things happening in the world and the job market changing, and even new subjects and new jobs coming to the forefront, just try and kind of keep awareness of it all and keep up to date with it all, but don't worry too much about your choices, because it will just take you'll end up on the right path, and I'm sure you'll succeed in kind of whatever you do.
I love that, Amy. You know, I think that's just a beautiful way to end this, because you're right, life is a journey and it's not always a straight line. You might think that you're going to follow a set path, but it meanders like a river. So, you know, just take your time, everybody. Look at your options and just, try to enjoy yourself at the same time, not get too panicked by this whole COVID mess. But Amy, it's been wonderful to speak to you. Thank you so much for telling us so much about Arden. It sounds like an awesome university. And have a lovely day.
No worries, thanks very much. And I've just got The Climb by Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus in my head now, which is just so cringy. But hey, that's how we're ending this right now.
That's how we're ending it. And see you later.
Cheers, bye.